Assalamualaikum. Now I'm going to show you some new fabrics and a few more ideas, perhaps for coming times of weddings, or whether is you want to make preparations for Eid. Now recently I got a call from one of my cousins, and she was inquiring as to what I was going to design for Inaya, and if I could offer her any ideas on what to make for Eid. Ramzan is quite a difficult month for sewing, so what I would suggest is, if you've got family members that you want to sew for, then I would advise to sew well in advance. Now, one of the biggest difficulties we often have is when we go out and we're looking for fabrics. I tell you, it can take quite a while to actually choose for any of us. Even when I go into shops, it takes me several, a good couple of hours to actually get my head around what I want to design and what I want to make. Sometimes by odd chance there will be something that will just jump out at me, but it's very difficult, especially if you're going around choosing for somebody else. Now, she actually phoned me up and asked me if I had anything that she could design to make patiala salwars and short kameeza for 3 girls. Now, I am in love with this Garara, and you probably saw, I've matched everything up with this in the peach and this shade, which I want to make for it Naya. So she actually requested that I find something for her. So, the difficulty is that you can often find something for like single, but sometimes there might not be, enough material to make for all of them. Now, initially when she phoned me up, I dug out these 2 versions of pink. This is jamawar with pink and green, and it's really, really pretty. It will make a beautiful one of those shararas, gararas, and a top with this. So initially my idea was to give her this, but then this would only be enough for one, and then I thought, well, what's she going to do about the other 2? So I went around hunting for something that I could recommend for sewing for the other girls. Now, after I went into bazaar and I actually saw something new and fascinating, which was this new material, which is in like a gold shimmer. It's gold shimmer fabric. So there were two that I fell in love with. This one, I mean, the good thing about these is that you won't need lining and so on. So whether you wanted to make a patiala salwar in this, or whether you wanted to make any of the designs of the salwar, it's a beautiful shimmery fabric. You can see the shimmer. This one is in a metallic gold and maroon background. So the flow on the material is absolutely beautiful. The other thing that I absolutely love this fabric for is fancy abayas. So I'm going to be designing a couple of fancy abayas in this, but this particular one I bought for my cousin's daughters. So with this I decided to go for this baby pink jamawar, and it has like a sort of like a almost a hint of this color of the lehengas. Now this will look so pretty on girls. I mean, I can visualize it, I can visualize something like that. And then I bought this small amount of lace just to use on the edges of the Garara. Now at the bottom it does have the jamawar fabric. It's up to the girls how she goes and designs this, because I won't be designing this. I will ask her to share perhaps the end result with me, so I can give you, she's pretty good at sewing as well, and so she's gonna replicate this. So this is idea number 1. If somebody wants to design the gararas or lehengas or abayas or patiala salwars, then that's my idea. These 2 combinations, beautiful subtle color for the kameez, and then a rich color for the bottoms. Okay, so that's idea number 1. Then the other one, these two I bought for myself, and I want to make abayas out of this. This one is in metallic gold. Okay, you can see the shimmer on this, absolutely beautiful shimmer in the fabric. But the good thing is that, you know, the hanging of this fabric is just amazing. And now with this, I'm not quite sure what I want to combine this with. Initially, I purchased this quite a while back, this net, and I've thought about perhaps combining this with, but this I would like to go back with the maroon and probably do dresses, a dress. I've not really decided, but this is just a net. I thought it might just go with this, but there is a slight bit of a variation. Now with this net, at the time when I purchased this, I bought this lace. Now you see, when you combine that and that lace, that looks amazing. But then again, there is the lace, which is an absolute, like a spot-on match with this. So again, you know, if I was to perhaps design in something, then maybe I would go for, you know, this combination. And again, this will make an outstanding and beautiful garment. You know, you can just imagine what you can do with that. Okay, so much shimmer and so much. Now we've got a family wedding, and I don't, you know, I'm actually quite excited to do something like this for her, because it's a, you know, like an evening wedding, and for an evening wedding, something like this, even though my initial, you know, thing is to make that, I'm quite keen to make this. I don't know, too many ideas. So let's see what we can cook up. Too many dishes, too much to choose from. Okay, that's the second of the ideas. Now the third one is a definite abaya. Even this one, I'm going to make an abaya because I love the color on this. Such a rich, beautiful color. Now the third one, in comparison to these, this is going to look a bit duller because this is on a silver grey. Again, it's the metallic fabric. This fabric is, I think, 56 inches wide, and you can see the shimmer in that. Beautiful, beautiful fabric. Now with this, I bought 3/4 of a yard of this net. This net is quite an expensive net. It's one of those bridal type of nets that I showed. It's retailing at about £30 a yard. But that, as a bodice for this type of abaya, is going to be absolutely stunning. This, I'm quite impatient to sew and show you the result of this, because there is an abaya that I want to copy, replicate, which I'm going to be addressing. So keep on watching, and hopefully this is going to be the next tutorial up in this abaya, because I'm quite eager to get this done before I sidetrack and leave the sewing for good again. I normally have like moments where, you know, I'll just end up concentrating on other stuff and neglecting the sewing. So at the moment I've been on this is 28 inches, which is exactly 3/4 of a yard. When they measure, they don't actually go even a teeny weeny bit over. So 27, 36. Yeah, exactly 9, 18, 27, yeah, exactly on the spot of 3/4 of a yard. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna go into describing what this abaya cut is going to be like. It's a similar style to all the recent tutorials that I've been doing in the circle cut. So it is the circle cut version, but it's a more of a obviously more of a bigger version. It's not something that I can do on the table. The table is simply not big enough to do that kind of a cut. So what I'm going to be doing is using my living room floor to do this cut. And one thing that I have to say is, for this particular cut, you have to be absolutely precise. No mistakes can be made in this cutting of this abaya, because once it's cut and once it's sewn, if you have to redo any part of the sewing, then you will have big difficulties. So what I would suggest is get your measurements absolutely right, get the layout absolutely right, and get the cutout absolutely right, because we don't want to be messing around with making a mistake and then trying to rectify it later. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe what the design of the abaya is. You will also see a ready-made abaya in that design, where the replica, no, my mistake. Okay, the design that we're replicating, you're going to see that, and where the designer has made a mistake, and then in order to rectify that, how difficult it is. So that video, I'm just going to tag that video along, just so that you become aware and you don't make the same mistake, and obviously the mistakes that can be already exist in ready-made abayas of that type. So 1 is to wisen ourselves up, 2 is to avoid mistakes, 3 to familiarize ourselves with the pattern, 4 to get your measurements absolutely right, 5 to choose and design it immaculately, and then 6 to sew it immaculately. So those are the steps that we want to follow. At the moment, it's just me trying to show you some ideas and some fabrics, and the kind of fabrics that I'm going to be using. So my choice of fabrics is the net and the grey colour shimmer, golden shimmer fabric, because it has a beautiful fall. Unfortunately, I mean, like the design that was done in that particular fabric, it was on a black, and it's like a silky type of a thick fabric, which mostly abayas from Arabian countries are done in. Unfortunately, I've not come across that kind of fabric here in the UK. So sometimes, you might get something from bought from abroad that's not readily available here in the UK. Anyway, we have to make do with whatever we have, the best we can get. For me, buying fabrics like this is quite easily accessible. I know for some viewers, especially in places like America or Australia or somewhere like that, it's very difficult to get fabrics of this sort. Actually, this fabric is imported from Pakistan. It is a slightly more dearer than, it's about £4.50 or £4.50 or £5 a yard. I have 5 yards of this fabric and I have 8 yards of the grey. So I know I've got far excess in grey. This one I am sort of like pretty sure that this is going to be enough for the abaya I have in mind. So if you fancy making the abaya, if you fancy making the Garara and the short kameez, or if you want to make a perfectly sewn patiala salwar, which to be honest, up till now I have done quite a few patiala salwars, but the patiala salwar that I'm going to show you is going to be a totally unique and different cut. So if you want to keep on watching, then I will keep on sharing these wonderful ideas. I just hope that you get inspired enough to carry out and make some of these beautiful designs.